a rock, just random rock, gets stuck in the throttle body and the thing's pinned almost wide open. And I'm in like this gnarly, like you can't pull over. There's like cliffs over here. Hey, it's Jamie Campbell, owner of RaceCo USA. Been off-road fabricating for about 30 years. Definitely been my passion since I was a teenager. Just growing up racing motorcycles and then getting into the four-wheel off-road thing. So we built a couple cars at Pinhall's, 2 Class 1 cars for the Combs family. They're out of Arizona. I was racing with one of the brothers that year, and Jerry was racing with the other brother. And we go to Vegas to Reno, and Jerry's car ends up, I think they blew an engine up early, like right in the start, off the start. Steve Combs and we just kept going, and we were doing all right, you know, top 10 or whatever. I got in the car, I think right before Top Gun pit, and it's like dusk, it's kind of gnarly. And we're going, and a rock, just random rock, gets stuck in the throttle body, and the thing's pinned almost wide open. And I'm in like this gnarly, like you can't pull over. There's like cliffs over here. And I'm just mashing the brake, off the brake, and the thing's revving. And I finally find a little area, and I just pull over, and I shut the car off with the ignition. And Brian Matthews and I get out, and we go back, and the rotors are just, it's daylight still, but it's dusk, and the rotors are glowing red. They were so hot. So now I have no brakes. We get the rock out of the thing. We take off. I'm like, okay, we'll just, you know, we'll go, but we'll get to the next pit. We'll bleed the brakes. Well, in the meantime, the brakes kind of came back. So I'm like, yeah, no, we're good. We went by the next pit, kept going. So I can't remember the exact pit, but we have to do a tire change, and this was before the finish. So we're probably 100, 150 from the finish. And we do the pit, and they change the tires, and we start going, and we get to the last climb, the last hill going up to the top of the mountain before Dayton, before the finish, right? And we're climbing that hill, and we're just like, Brian and I are like giving the hand, you know, we got it, we're finishing this thing, you know? Yeah. So we're cruising, and we're not going fast, but we're just going a good clip, and all of a sudden, the driver rear just goes boom, lands on the ground, and it's dark, and I just, out of the corner of the eye with the side lights, I just see this tire go boom, 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 like 200 yards out in the desert. I'm like, are you kidding me? Brian and I just go, oh man, really? So we get out, and we look at it, and all the studs sheared off. So the pit guys didn't get the wheel tight all the way, and I didn't feel it back there getting loose. So Brian goes hiking, he finds the wheel, brings it back. I'm like looking at it going, man, we have no studs left. And I'm like, we don't have any spare studs in the tool bag, nothing. So I start looking, I said, man, these limit strap bolts look about right. So I pull one off, and we ended up using a hammer and like a 3/8 drive extension. We were able to hammer all the studs out, and I had 4 limit strap bolts I took them out. I'm all, yep, those will work. So pounded all the studs out, got the wheel jacked up, put the wheel on, just shoved all the bolts through the back, just 4 through the back of the wheel. I mean, we only had 5 miles to go down the hill, and just cranked the nylocks on there, and we just cruised down the finish line. The Combs guys were just like, I can't believe, because they could hear us on the radio, because they were at the finish line, and they're like, oh man, they didn't think we were going to make it. I said, no, we'll make it, we'll figure it out, because I was ready just to hammer studs out of all the other wheels, you know. But luckily the limit strap bolts did that, and so it was cool to finish that race, because I think that was the first year I finished Vegas Reno in a 4-wheel vehicle. It's all about the stories and the friends and people you meet, and you know, for me, I made it a career, and my focus now has changed a little bit from going from off-road buggies and trucks to this UTV you know, industry. But the passion that I have is still there, and I still love racing. And I didn't race for a while, and now that I'm getting the opportunity to race again, it's fun again, and it makes, you know, coming to work every day worth it when we get to go play with what we built.
Every time we climb in our cars and pull our belts tight, new memories and stories are created. We are on a mission to bring these stories to light, both for our community and for those outside off-road to understand the allure. So please help us in sharing these stories.